Hello, Susan. Hi, welcome back. My name is Larry Gurnt, in case you haven't been here before. And we're going to talk about a couple of things today. A couple of related things. The first thing I want to cover is a document that has been around for a while, and I think it comes from Ed Harris. That's what I have as attribution from about 2 years ago. And Ed explains what he knows, what he has heard about what happened with President Carter. Now, as you may recall, President Carter was, we'll just cut the music off abruptly. Dal, we don't need high production value here, right? We need good content, and that's what I'm trying to give you. And I'm going to debunk this. I'm going to say that right up front. And it's funny. I'm kind of proud of myself because I'm not. I have this fear that I'm too gullible, but I don't take that fear very seriously because every time that fear comes up, I reanalyze, what am I looking at here, and am I being too gullible? And usually the answer is no. So what I go by is, I like to say I have a supernatural ability to be able to discern the truth out of either a witness's mouth or written text. And it's a joke because we all should have that ability. I don't know why I'm the only one, not the only one. I mean, why I'm one of the few who seems to feel confident about that ability. I've been right 95% of the time, so at least in retrospect. And my feeling on what we're about to read is that it's a bunch of bullshit. It's a lie. But it is probably based in speculation, and then someone put two and two together, they thought, and came up with what they believed was the truth. I think they were wrong on that, and I'll tell you why. So anyway, the background on this is President Carter did see a UFO at one point in his life, so he was a believer. And because of this, and because of some external pressure, when he was running, they asked him if he would look into the UFO files, and he said he would. When he got into office, he started making good on the promise, and poked around, and eventually got a meeting in a conference room by the higher ups, someone in the know, supposedly. And let's just read it and see what was said, and I mean what was supposedly said and what wasn't. All right, let me see if I can get this little thing out of the way here. All right, so here's Ed Harris from 2 years ago. Yes, the incident of Jimmy Carter crying after being briefed about classified information regarding UFOs is largely believed to be true by the serious researchers on the subject. So right away, the writer is being subconsciously honest here, saying that it's largely believed to be true. These are weasel words. You know what I mean? Like there's no commitment here. It's something they believed to be true. Probably because they knew Carter was a religious man. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. As a forewarning, the following information is very unsettling, and will explain why Carter never, quote, kept his promise, unquote, of revealing classified UFO information to the public. According to the story that was corroborated by more than one witness, U.S. presidents are only given a cursory overview of the subject. First of all, there's no way that you can give a president a cursory overview without saying whether their UFOs are real or not, okay? So, and the government doesn't tell presidents anymore, including Carter, whether they're real or not. That's the bombshell. That's the thing that they keep avoiding in current day today, right? They're deathly afraid of saying that extraterrestrials are here. I think the closest thing we've got them to say is that there are some things in the sky that that exhibit unusual behavior, and that's another weasel word. And we don't know what they are, which is a complete lie. If we're looking at the Pentagon as a monolith, that's a big fucking lie, okay? They know what they are. They've known for 75 fucking years what they are, okay? What they like to do is put people in front of Congress that don't have any information at all. And that way, when they're grilled, they're supposed to be in the know, right? They're supposed to be. Ronald Moultrie and Bray, the ones who gave, the bozos who gave that last hearing. You can tell I'm getting a little pissed off already, because that last hearing was the biggest piece of steaming bullshit I've ever heard. It was a walkback. They disclosed less in the second hearing than they did in the first. So they're obviously trying to keep the jack in the box. You know what I mean? Because as soon as it goes pop, so does all their money and all their deep state, all the trust in government that we've ever had, which is dwindling to almost nothing now, because we're starting to recognize that they're lying to us about every single fucking thing in the world. Everything. Archaeologists are lying to us about what happened in the past. Science is lying to us about, ETs don't exist. It takes too far. It takes too long for them to get here, so they can't be here. The government is lying to us about every single fucking thing. The Ukraine war and how that got started. They lied to us about that. And the UFO subject, of course. But every single thing that comes out of the government now is a cover-up or a lie or a spin. There's nothing directly related to us and given to us as information. And you know as well as I do, you don't have a democracy without informed consent of the people. And if they're not informed, they can't consent, because they have to be informed in order to make a decision on whether they consent or not. And we're not given any information. The government really, in my opinion, doesn't care about us. And that's not even an opinion. I would almost say that's a fact based on the observables on the ground, you know. Should they care about us? Well, yeah, they should. But we don't have a system designed to put people in government who care about us. We have a system that is designed to take people who have the misguided belief that they can change things and run for office. And once they run for office and get involved in Congress or the Senate, they become indoctrinated, and they quickly learn what they're allowed to talk about and what they're not allowed to talk about based on donor money coming in. So yes, they're all paid off, they're bribed, and they have a very restricted range of things that they can even talk about. That's not a democracy. That is a result of late-stage capitalism, end-stage capitalism. And nobody's willing to say it except people like Richard Wolff or Eric Weinstein, saying this is the end. Weinstein just said the other day, this is the end. Yeah, we're at the end of everything here. But that doesn't mean doom and gloom is ahead. I mean, the doom and gloom is here. Okay, and so when I say we're at the end of this bullshit, it's a good thing. Okay, but there's going to be major change happening when disclosure finally does occur, and I don't even know when that's going to happen. I have no faith in the government for carrying forward this disclosure process anymore. But let's go on. For Christ's sake, I didn't even get through I got through the first paragraph. Now, apparently the CIA runs the program. That also is false. That the CIA does not run the program. They might provide some support. I mean, I'm sure they know what's going on, but at least in the highest level. But no, they're not running the program. The people that are running the program are Majestic 12, and they're not CIA. Apparently, the CIA runs the program, only provide information to the president on a need-to-know basis, and do not consider presidential curiosity as sufficient need to know. So yes, this is something that came up in some other document as well, where there was a conversation between those in the know and someone who wanted to be in the know. And that person who wanted to be in the know was told, your curiosity, I think it was Admiral Wilson in the Wilson-Davis leak. Wilson was told that his curiosity is not enough to be read into the program. And that's kind of an insult, because it's not just curiosity. If you're talking about a program that has evidence that we're being visited and have been visited for 75 years, and probably way longer than that, of course, but for 75 years, that's been covered up by the government, that's not just curiosity. That is the biggest fucking story in the world, in human history, that we're not alone, and that we may soon be receiving technology advancements from the ETs if we can get our shit together and stop lying to the American public. The government should stop lying and start. Really, they have to change their whole mindset, because their mindset is war right now. And that's the reason why they don't let this technology out. It's not about that we can't handle it. They know we can handle it. They can handle it, so we can handle it, unless our brains aren't maybe wired correctly, and only their brains are wired correctly so that they can keep on living without going crazy knowing the truth. But we can't. We're the great unwashed masses. And we're too simple, and these things will scare us. Give me a fucking break. Anyway, so let's move on, and this is not a long document. You're looking at the whole thing, so that's why I'm kind of taking liberty to inject a lot of commentary here. This was implemented after Kennedy. In other words, the secrecy of not telling the presidents happened after Kennedy. And all presidents after him have been given only summary briefings. Some presidents, for unknown reasons, were given more than others. Yeah, again, how do you give a summary briefing on UFOs without saying, first of all, that they're real and that they're here? And that right there is a bombshell that they won't let out. They're not going to let it out to Carter. They didn't. And they did like, I think he's right here with Kennedy, because Kennedy knew. He knew some stuff. And he wanted to meet with the Russians and share what they knew about the Foo Fighters, etc., so that if a UFO showed up in Russia and was acting threateningly, it wouldn't be considered to be from the United States if it was a UFO. I've covered this before, so I'm not going to go into it. But, okay, on to your question. So apparently someone asked Ed a question. I don't have the thread here. But anyway, so Ed Harris goes, okay, on to your question. President Carter is a deeply religious man who had also witnessed a UFO with 6 other people. Everyone thought that he would be the one to finally release UFO info to the public. But as the story goes, and it is a story, he was repeatedly stonewalled. Eventually, the CIA had, quote, the talk with him. And afterward, it was reported that he sunk his head in his hands and not only began to deeply sob, but was visibly disturbed for some weeks afterward. Okay, first of all, I can believe that he was stonewalled. But what I don't believe is that the CIA decided to help him out by having a talk with him. Because what they supposedly told him in this talk was, the basics of the truth. And they're saying that it made him sob. Well, let's just look and see what he was told and see if he really sobbed. He was told that the major religions, including Christianity, were programs created by extraterrestrials to prevent us from destroying ourselves while they ran their experiments on us, and that they made us. So that's it right there. This section, let me see if I can highlight that. Yeah. Okay, that's the gist of the article right there. I mean, that's the bombshell that they supposedly told him. So let's break it down. First of all, the major religions, including Christianity, were programs created by extraterrestrials to prevent us from destroying ourselves while they ran their experiments on us, and that they made us. Now, the last part is true. They did make us in the sense that they genetically engineered us. Now, who was that? Well, it was one of the races, maybe the Nordics. We don't know. They looked like us. According to the Bible, we were made in their image and likeness. And in fact, the Elohim, which is the group of extraterrestrials in the Bible that gets translated as the singular God, the Elohim it's a plural word, right? As we've talked about before, and so we don't know exactly who the Elohim were or are. Nobody's talking about it. It's like a deeply held secret within the disclosure world, within the UFO world. So we don't know who the progenitors are, but they did make us. Now, if they created religion, this is where I have some objections here to this story. Because first of all, religion is the source of all of our wars until recently. It did not prevent us from destroying ourselves. And first of all, it shows real biblical ignorance to say that that the ETs created religion via the Bible, right? Because the Bible isn't a religion. It's a historical document. And really, there are some opinions, like in the New Testament, after you get past the Gospels, the four Gospels, there's some opinion that starts creeping in from the other writers, about what they make of the whole thing. And that's opinion, that's speculation. But the four Gospels are just historical documents. They don't really tell you what to do or what to think or what to believe. They tell you the story of Jesus and what he said to us. And whether you believe it or not is up to you. I do. I believe the words. But of course, the problem is what man has made with this historical document is something called religion. And what we've done with that is turned it into, because we're all crazy now, it has turned it into just a ridiculous, outdated, completely inaccurate, distorted version of who God really is and who Jesus really was and what his mission really was. And so, although the good aspects of Jesus, some of them have remained throughout the years, and that is a good thing and probably did do some good for humanity. It established some values and some morals that, I like most of them, not all of them, and I don't even think all of them came from Jesus, by the way. What Jesus really stressed, by the way, just to give you someone who's read and studied the Bible as an adult, and I came away with what Jesus really did was he explained to us over and over again in multiple different ways that there is a kingdom of heaven and that we should be aspiring to enter that kingdom when we die. And that the world here will be difficult, but be of good cheer, because where we're headed is really good. And I want you to know that I believe that for myself. I believe that for you. It's not about, have you sinned too many times? Or, what about people who committed suicide? Are they gonna? Of course they're in heaven, for Christ's sake. I've never heard anything more disgusting than the idea that, committing suicide is against God's will, and you will go to hell for that. Oh, that's great. So someone who has become so depressed and so despondent over the state of this world, the state of their own family or lack thereof, and the state of themselves, that they just can't go on anymore. And it takes a lot of guts to try to kill yourself. And then these fucking holier than thou Christians come around and say, suicide is against God's law, and you'll go to hell for that. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The lack of empathy. The lack it's the lack of empathy. And they call themselves Christians. Yeah, but see, the thing is, like I said, religion is what man did with the Bible. The Bible itself isn't nearly as egregious as you might think it is. It's mostly historical retelling of supernatural things that they witnessed and were amazed by and had to write them down because they felt that it was very important. And I would have felt that way too. Anything that supernatural that we've seen in the Old Testament, and I use the term supernatural, in context. It was supernatural to them. We now believe with the ancient alien theory that, there's nothing supernatural about this. but that we just don't know everything that is natural. That's the thing. We don't know the physics that allow these craft to defy the laws of physics as we know them. But we're getting closer, actually, to that. But anyway, so would Carter cry when he heard these words? No, he wouldn't. And in the next video, we're gonna be covering what I will call the Reagan briefing, and it's something very similar, but with President Reagan. But in this document, which I believe is a real transcript of a real, it's a recording that was transcribed of a real meeting between William Casey, director of something, and you probably know better than me, and Ronald Reagan and a few other people that Casey brought with him to inform the president about really the history of UFOs and the history of extraterrestrials and what types there are. And all of that Reagan took in very well. But you see, this author here, whoever wrote this story about Carter, they like to put it right up front that he was a deeply religious man. Well, yeah, he was a good Christian. What he did was he was a good Catholic, I think, because he tried to do good works for people. And that's a very simple concept that doesn't mean you're deeply religious. It means that you have a basic understanding that Jesus, of the things that Jesus talked about. So would a man like that cry? First of all, I don't think they ever gave him this talk. Why would they? It says right in this very story that we're reading here that after Kennedy, they didn't give the talk anymore to presidents. And so I don't think they ever did tell him anything because, that was their policy. And you're telling me they broke the policy one more time just because he was pressing? I don't think so. But let's assume that he was told that just for the sake of argument. Would that make him put his head down and sob and be visibly shaken for the next couple of weeks? No, it wouldn't. Because first of all, he would take this information and ask himself, well, how does that change anything? And how, he would ask himself, well, what do you mean that they created religion? Are you saying that they made up those books? Because I don't think so. That's probably what Carter thought to himself. He doesn't think they made up the Bible, and I don't either. The Bible was recorded by man, and it was written by man. It was about man's witnessing of supernatural things that he attributed to God. So I don't see Carter laying his head down and sobbing, "Oh my God, everything I believed in is over. And I believe you completely, Mr. CIA. I'm just going to cry. Please leave the room." No, what a bunch of bullshit. And who knows what the truth of this story is, but I'm going to say it didn't happen. I'm going to say that this is a lie, but it was an attempt by someone to put out there in the form of this document, to put out there some of what they believe is the truth, which is that the ETs made us. And that's a kind of a brute force word, made, but, genetically engineered, mixed their genes with ours and came up with the modern human. So let's just finish up the document and we'll call it a day, and we'll look forward to the next video, which won't be too long from now, barring any problems that I may have. What was he told and shown? Yeah. So we read that primary paragraph. And then at this moment, it became clear to Carter that such information could cause tremendous economic and social upheaval. I should add that I am not only a Christian, but a clergyman. So I am in no way attempting to promote atheism here. In fact, how God fits into this might be an interesting separate post. Oh, would it? Yeah, it might be worth, putting another post out about how God fits into all this. Nevertheless, these are the facts as I know them to be. So what we have here is the author of this story, the person speaking, Ed Harris, is saying that he's a Christian, but of course he doesn't seem to be upset by this. He doesn't put his head down and sob. Is that because he's more of a tough man, or maybe more in control of emotions, and Carter was just on his period? Come on. So yeah, I think this is. I think Ed is. I'm not going to say what Ed's doing here, but it just doesn't seem like he's telling the truth here. And believe me, I wanted to believe this because when I first heard it, in fact, I accepted it tentatively because it made sense. It made sense that when I heard the words that they made us, I thought, okay, well, yeah, they did make us, so there's some truth in there. But when I really considered everything that was said in the story and reread this document, it was pretty clear to me that it's baloney. So that's my take on it. What is yours? Let me know in the comments. And like I said, next time we will we'll look at the Reagan briefing, which is completely the opposite of this, and it's quite lengthy, as a matter of fact, hundreds of details, and it's something I believe is a true story and a true event, and thankfully it was recorded on tape and then transcribed into text, and I can't wait to get to it. But I'll make this short for now, and we will pick it up in the next video. So until then, cue the music. No, that didn't work. Oh well. Yeah. We're just going to go ahead and put the bookend at the end. I've had some problems with my eye, and I'm losing sight, and I hope that the doctors are going to be able to fix it. It's been bugging me. But until then, till the next video, folks, go easy. And if you can't go easy, go as easy as you can.